Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. Hi there, this is John Barbour, and that was one of John Kennedy's lesser-known greatest quotes. Had he not had his brains blown up by the Central Intelligence Agency, he might have led us in one of those revolutions, inspired by his hero, Thomas Jefferson, who said, "For democracy to survive, we need a violent revolution every 20 years. We've missed a bunch of them." He, along with Thomas Jefferson, also said, "In America, no man is above the law." I miss a president like John Kennedy. But more important than John Kennedy, I miss Jim Garrison, who tried to prove it. The only lawman in America to investigate and solve the murder of John Kennedy, and then to have it sabotaged by the media and the government. Right now, I have a couple of things to say about our present government, but first, let me apologize for the dark glasses. I just had cataract surgery, and they're very sensitive to light. And I hope, to paraphrase Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, I hope you are not sensitive to the truth. And the truth is, I did not give one whit who won this last useless election when America is again the loser. In 1981, Jim Garrison said if America doesn't do anything about the killing of John Kennedy, it means the president does not run the country. When Allen Dulles was urging Kennedy to invade Cuba, Kennedy said, "Only Congress can declare war." After Dulles engineered his public slaughter in Dallas, every president since then took it upon himself to declare these fake wars in Vietnam, Iraq, Chile, and Central America, violating the Constitution and making each and every one of them a war criminal. If the real powers and oligarchs that own this country do not allow constitutionally for the Congress to vote, what do you think your vote means to them? Absolutely nothing. 100 years ago, Mark Twain said if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. The owners love to see you do it because it works off your energy. I say in 2024, voting in America is like jerking off and thinking that you had great sex. For 4 years, we have been endlessly bombarded by thousands and thousands of political, repetitive, uninspiring ads 24 hours. I felt like I was getting kicked in the balls. And for the next 4 years, I'm going to feel like I'm going to be getting kicked in the balls again, only by a guy with bigger boots. One of my really smart Trump voting friends called me and said, giggling, "I guess you didn't want to see Trump get elected again." And I said, "Do you think the president of Boeing wants to see another airplane crash?" And he replied smartly that when Trump was in the White House, he never declared war. And I said, maybe you're right. Maybe we're all safer with him in the White House and more peaceful. Because as January 6th pointed out, outside he is a lot more dangerous. Had he lost this one, he would have become instantly the Hannibal Lecter of politics. And I added, to paraphrase Albert Einstein, the two things that are unknowable are the origins of the universe and how it began, and how some people think, if they even think at all. But these ineffectual congressmen and presidents and the oligarchs for whom they are puppets live in a country that I no longer am familiar with. But as that great Frank Sinatra song says, the world keeps spinning and life goes on. And my life gleefully goes on following what philosopher Joseph Campbell said, by following my bliss. My bliss is to be a storyteller. From the time I was a child, just listening to them on the radio or watching them in the movies, to later telling them very successfully on television with real people, and for the last 61 years trying to tell the greatest story in America about Jim Garrison. I get to continue to tell this amazing story again with the incredible support of the smartest, most beautiful, brightest, and one of the most talented, supportive wives a husband could ever have, Sarita, without whom there would have been no Real People and no Garrison tapes, and the support of one of the few geniuses I've known, my son Christopher, who is also a storyteller. So happily, I'm going to try to continue telling the Garrison story in another way that will also involve you. On Friday, November 22nd, Friday was the day they shot John Kennedy. On Friday the 22nd, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time, I'm going to do a live Zoom 2 hours on BBS Radio TV on their channel 2 with the generous help of Don and Doug Newsom, the owners, and with 2 of the greatest guests anyone could have on a show like this. First is Wayne Madsen, the best investigative journalist in America. He will tell you an inside story about an unknown relationship between Jim Garrison and Jane Mansfield that will blow your mind off and then open it. 3 months before John Kennedy Jr. was murdered in a plane crash, he and 2 other journalists were interviewed by John Jr. and asked to come aboard and investigate the murder of his father, which he could then publish in his George magazine to give him the platform to run for the Senate. Which brings up the second guest, Donald Jeffries, the incredible writer of 5 or 6 best-selling books, and the one I was lucky enough to have write the foreword to my book, Your Mother's Not a Virgin, which dozens here and in Europe said is not only one of the best books ever written about anybody in show business, it is also one of the best books ever written. So batten down the hatches and set aside those 2 hours, November 22nd, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and I'm telling you very, very honestly, if you gather the best 100 books ever written about the assassination, and there are dozens and dozens of them, and bundled them all up, they will not come close to the informative, even entertaining, eye-opening, mind-opening, mind-expanding experience that you will have sitting on the edge of your seat watching the kind of show you would never see on network television. Wayne and Donald and I cannot wait to talk to you. And Garrison is still talking to us from the grave. Let justice be done, though the heavens fall. Till then, Friday, November 22nd, 4 to 6 p.m. Good luck to each and every one of you.